What is the crack, everybody, and welcome to my video where I will be showing you how I got the Platinum Trophy for Far Cry 3. And of course, like every other Ubisoft game ever made, you get your first trophy called First Blood. And all you have to do to get this trophy is just play the intro of the game. And this is also where Jason finds out that his vacation is not all it's cracked up to be. You also get to meet probably one of the coolest antagonists ever in video games. And his name is Voss. And since we're meeting new people all over the island, another person we get to meet is called Dennis, and he will be helping us to start this game and throughout. Like right here, for instance, he tells us to go climb the tower so we can reveal the map and get free guns. Free guns or no, they did not help me get this next trophy called Hunter Hunted. And how you get this trophy is by luring out a predator and killing it. I didn't so much lure it out, it just kind of attacked me. We then called to her friend to see if she wants to come out and play, and this gives me my next trophy, Magic Mushroom. And how I got this trophy was by giving a magic mushroom to the doctor, otherwise he wouldn't let her friend come out and play. Throughout these islands, you have bad guys who have taken over bases, and your job is to get them back. And how you do this is by killing the guards any way possible. And this leads me to my next trophy that was called Unheard. And how you get this trophy is by taking over one of the bases without alerting any of the guards so they can't call reinforcements, because you really don't want that. And if you've played this game, what way do you take over the bases? Do you go stealth or do you just go balls to the wall? I always try to do stealth, but most of the time it never actually works out for me. But what did work out for me is this next trophy called Inked Up. And how you get this trophy is by unlocking 5 skill tattoos. As everyone knows, the more tattoos you have, the more skills you have. And the next trophy that I managed to get was called Artsy Crafty. And you get this for hunting down some animals and skinning them to make such things as weapon holsters, wallets, and loot rucksacks. You think instead of hunting animals, you just go order off Amazon. It's not that long of a wait. And speaking of waiting, the next trophy I managed to get was called Rebel Without a Cause. And how you get this trophy is by liberating 3 outposts. The reason I said speaking of waiting is because I just couldn't wait to get done with these outposts. The next trophy that I managed to snap was called Island Paparazzi. And how I managed to nab this trophy was by tagging 25 enemies with my camera. I didn't just tag them, I also took photos of them. And because they didn't want them photos getting out, it led me to my next trophy called Worst Date Ever. And how I got this trophy is by meeting up with one of Jason's friends in a hotel and bringing the place down with a great party. And then bringing her back to a different friend that was already rescued. And while with the 2 friends, we decided to try and fix up the boat, and I got to fix the engine. And then I had to go and try and fix a tiger from eating me. And in doing so, I managed to get my next trophy called Jungle Journal. And how I got this trophy is by discovering 50 things and writing about it in my journal. There's a time and a place for everything. The next trophy that I managed to get was called One of Us. And how I acquired this trophy is by meeting up with the woman that Dennis is simping over. She also sends us on our own quest to go find a magic knife for her. And to find this knife, we have to follow a man in a white suit. And I think this proves that Ubisoft just love tailing missions, while nobody else ever likes these missions. The man in the white suit actually asks us for our help, and he gives us one of the most iconic missions, I think, in the Far Cry franchise. And the next trophy I managed to get was not iconic, but it was called Money to Burn. And how you get this trophy is not by burning more fields, but actually spending 5,000 whatever the Christ they are in a shop on weapons. And with all that money spent on our new weapons, the man in white asks us for help to protect a knockoff member of the Beatles band. And then the next trophy I got was called Hands Off My Stoner. And how I got this trophy is by finding one more of my friends with the help from the man in the white suit, and then taking an Overwatch position to shoot anyone that got near him so he and I could escape together and rejoin our friends. And speaking of friends, we then got a lead on one more of our friends, and we got to meet what I can only describe as the Conor McGregor prototype. And he wants us to help him before he'll give us our friend. And I found the best way that I was going to help him is by getting this next trophy called Full Bars. And how I managed to unlock this trophy was by activating 9 radio towers. I think this is how Elon Musk puts up his Starlink satellites as well. While I was off helping the Conor McGregor wannabe, I managed to get my next trophy called Never Saw It Coming. And how you get this trophy is by taking down an enemy from above on a glider, a zipline, or a parachute. I managed to do this from a zipline. Speaking Never Saw It Coming, I also gave Buck the knife he wanted. And this did lead to my next trophy called Retaken Wall Street. And this is for taking away my friend, for helping Buck out and giving him a brand new knife that he'll keep close to his heart. We then returned to Citra and give her the knife she wanted. It turns out Buck didn't want it after all. And after dealing with Citra's brother, I got my next trophy called Have I Told You? And how I managed to acquire this trophy is by proving I'm tougher than Voss and escaping him and then collecting all my things. Hello. Tough and all as Jason is, I still needed to get this next trophy called Needle Exchange. And how I managed to unlock this trophy is by crafting 25 syringes, and the most syringes I'd say I crafted are definitely the healing ones. I definitely needed them fighting this sleep paralysis demon of a thing. And speaking of demons, the next trophy that I managed to acquire was called called Taken for Granted. And how I managed to acquire this trophy is by taking out one of the best bosses in video game history with one of the most lackluster boss fights in history. We then get to see Dennis turn a bit salty because the love of his life don't love him and she loves someone else. Even Jason's friends are celebrating, but Jason doesn't because he knows he's got more stuff to do. The only man that can help him with his journey is the most American man ever, and he helps Jason by giving him a lift all the way to the second island. And this leads to my next trophy called Higher Than a Kite. And how you get this trophy is by diving out of the plane and using your wingsuit to safely land on the second southern island. While on the island, we actually get to meet a friend, and he doesn't look terrifying at all. And he gives us a very important mission, and it's to go murder someone and take their clothes so we can join his club. The reason we want to do this is so the big boss man can't recognize our tattoos and skin us alive. He doesn't seem like that bad of a guy to work for. I mean, we're just starting and he already invited us to the barbecue. While sabotaging the main bad guy from the inside, I got my next trophy, and it was called Love the Boom. And how you get this trophy is by taking out 4 enemies simultaneously with one shot from a rocket launcher or any other big boom you can come across. I'm not the smartest person, but if I seen my face on the TV in the bad guy's compound, I'd turn around and just walk out the door. But Jason keeps going, and I got my next trophy called Deep Cover. And how you get this trophy is by discovering your brother is still alive, and then you have to brutally interrogate him. Just have to show him a good bit of brotherly love. And this leads on to the next trophy called Poker Night. And how you get this trophy is by taking out the main bad guy, because wait with me here, he knew you were Jason Brody all along. Who would have thought that you being on TV in the bad guy's base would give you away? Or maybe he was calling me a cheater during the poker game. Either way, the lad is gone. And after dealing with him, we go to rescue our brother, to bring him to our friends, and take part in one of the worst missions ever. Like, honest to God, I'd rather shit in my hand and clap than ever do that mission again. Speaking of bad things, this leads to my next trophy, which was called What a Trip. And how you acquired this trophy is by attending the final ceremony and then for some reason staying on the island. But that's lucky for me because I need to get more trophies. Which leads to my next one, and probably the coolest in this game, Tox Physolite. And how you get this trophy is by taking an arrow and shooting it more than 70 meters through a bad guy's head, or any other part of him that you can hit, really. The next trophy I got was definitely the most brutal trophy, and it was called Improper Use. And all you have to do to acquire this trophy is use a repair tool on someone and watch them burn. It looks a hell of a lot more brutal than it sounds. And what else is brutal is my planning skills, because of this next trophy called Aftermarket Junkie. How I got this trophy is by buying every attachment for it and every camouflage for it. But by the time I bought all of it, I already changed my sniper. So yeah, brutal planning on my part. It seems to be that the guards on either island are very easy to confuse. Like this next trophy I got called Rock Always Wins. And how you get this trophy is by fully distracting 25 guards by throwing a rock. And by fully distract, they mean that he has to go over, say something weird, and then walk away. And I say they're easy to confuse because I just kept throwing the same rock over and over again, and your man never figured out where I was. Some of these towers, I swear to God, are far too dangerous, even for just a free gun. And speaking of far too dangerous, the next trophy I managed to get was called Heartless Pyro. And how you get this trophy is by setting 50 guards on fire. And the majority of the time, I set myself on fire and died. How smart do you reckon the guards have to be to get posted at an outpost? Like, are they the smartest ones or the dumbest ones? Either way, this game is brilliant. I then got my next trophy, and it was called Island Liberator. And how I got this trophy is by taking over every outpost and eliminating every Michael Flatley guard I saw, and every guard that wasn't Michael Flatley too. And after taking out all the outposts, I got my next trophy called Memory to Spare. How I unlocked this trophy is by collecting 20 memory cards, which were scattered throughout both islands in just random outposts. And they all sounded like they were just about to explode. They must have been HP laptops. I managed to actually acquire 2 trophies here. One of them was called Poacher, and you get this for hunting down and skinning a rare animal. And then the trophy that popped after it was called Bagged and Tagged. And how I unlocked this trophy was by clearing one of the Hunter's Path quests. And you can get this quest by looking at some notice boards throughout the islands. And the next trophy that I got was called In Cold Blood. And all you have to do to get this is complete one of the Wanted Dead quests, which is very similar to the Hunter's quest. You'd find them right beside each other on the notice boards scattered throughout the island. The next trophy I managed to acquire was called Fearless or Stupid. And how I managed to acquire this trophy is by diving more than 60 meters underwater in shark infested water. On to the next one, which I feel is very similar, and it was called Free Fall. And how you get this trophy is by free falling for 100 meters and living. And I can confidently say this was stupid. I would 100% attempt this though. And the next trophy that I managed to nab was called Road Trip. And how I managed to get this trophy was completing a supply drop request. And with the way you drive, or at least the way I drive throughout this game, I don't know if I'd want them supply drops or not. I mean, would you want them after seeing this? And on to the next trophy I managed to acquire, and and it was called Fully Inked. And you get this for earning every tattoo by learning all the skills in the skill trees. And I wonder how many people actually got tattoos like this after playing this game. It does look like a cool tattoo and all. And nothing screams cool like this next trophy called Poker Bully. And how you acquire this trophy is by winning $1,500 in poker. And you could end up spending hundreds on this. So like I said, very cool. Gambling addictions. This was a joke. Gambling addictions are nothing to joke about. You can bet on that. The next trophy that I managed to acquire was called Archaeology 101. And how I managed to acquire this trophy is by collecting 60 of the singing head idols all scattered around throughout the islands. The next trophy I managed to get was similar to the last one called Dead Letters. And all I had to do to get this trophy was collect all the letters, which were 20, scattered throughout the island. They would have been able to send them letters off a lot quicker if they just sent them by email. And my poor planning catches up with me again on this trophy called The Good Stuff. And all you have to do is craft a special syringe to get this trophy. But to unlock the crafting recipe for the special syringe, you have to collect 60 of the idol heads. And the syringe makes you invincible. So I got this when all the bad guys were gone. And this leads me to my second last trophy called Say Hi to the Internet. And to get this trophy, all you have to do is find the hidden Hollywood stare. I have no idea who this lad is. And then the final trophy popped, which was the platinum. With that trophy unlocked, this is the end of the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you in the next one, and goodbye.